Greetings and salutations, dear viewers. Get ready for some fantastic content. Hello and a warm welcome to our channel. Today, we're delving into 2nd Escort Group Royal Navy. The 2nd Escort Group 2EG was a British anti-submarine formation of the Royal Navy which saw action during the Second World War, principally in the Battle of the Atlantic. 2EG was formed in April 1943, one of 5 such support groups formed at the crisis point of the campaign. It was to act as reinforcement to convoys under attack, with the capacity to actively hunt and destroy U-boats, rather than be restricted to escort duties. Comprising 6 sloops of the Black Swan-class, the group was led by Captain F.J. Johnnie Walker, Britain's most successful anti-submarine warfare commander. The combination of an active hunting group and a charismatic, determined and innovative anti-submarine specialist such as Walker proved to be a potent force. 2SG was the most successful anti-submarine unit of the war, being credited with the destruction of 23 U-boats during 2 years of active service. Now, let's dig deeper into formation and unveil the hidden treasures it holds within. Officially called 2nd Escort Group, it was more commonly referred to as the 2nd Support Group 2SG. It was formed in April 1943, one of 5 such support groups. Its purpose was to provide reinforcement to convoys at sea, being equipped to spend extended periods at sea moving from one convoy to another as needed. Its function primarily was to assist a convoy's escort in its defense, though it also had the facility to spend time, which escorts did not have, to continue attacks on U-boats to a successful conclusion rather than having to break off to maintain the guard on the convoy. Walker, however, was determined that the group would be active in destroying U-boats and impressed this aim on his commanders from the outset. The group comprised 6 sloops of the Black Swan-class, making it a highly uniform group, and the sloop design was well suited to the task, with good endurance, adequate speed and specialized anti-submarine armament. In addition, Walker had developed a range of tactics, which 2SG became adept at, such as the creeping attack and the barrage attack. The group originally comprised Capt. F.J. Walker, R.M. O'Brialtger, R.E.S. Hugenenaltger, F.B. Proudfootultger, D.E.G. Wemisiltger, W.S. Segrave. During April the group was engaged in working up and training. Starling, Wild Goose and Kite were new ships, and none had worked together before. Under Walker's training previously the experimental commander at HMS Osprey, the RN anti-submarine training school, the group became a highly effective and successful unit. The primary goal and strategy of the 2nd Escort Group as hunter-killers of U-boats was reflected in the group practice of playing the song "The Hunting We Will Go" upon entering and leaving harbour. This practice was emulated by other Royal Navy ships and was evidence of the change of attitude and strategy of anti-submarine units from defenders to hunter-killers of U-boats. Get ready to immerse yourself in the world of first patrols as we examine its impact and relevance. The group's first patrol in May 1943 was uneventful. There were several major convoy battles during the month, but none involving 2SG. The group operated in support of HX 235 and ONS 8, sailing ahead in an attempt to encounter and breach any U-boat patrol lines drawn across the convoy routes. The group's first success came in June. Its first U-boat was detected on 1 June 1943, fortuitously on a fine day, and identified by Lieutenant Earl Halpit. The event was dubbed another glorious 1st of June by Walker. Over a 15-hour period the group found, tracked and destroyed, in the longest hunt of the Atlantic campaign up to that point, and a vindication of the support group ethos, leaving ships free of escort responsibilities to destroy U-boats. Now, let's delve into the intricacies of Bay Offensive and explore its various aspects. After a refit at Liverpool, after which Signet departed to another group, ISK was assigned to Operation Musketry, an attempt in concert with Coastal Command to interdict the U-boat transit routes across the Bay of Biscay. On 24 June 1943 the group was successful in destroying and, though Starling was damaged in the process of ramming U-119 and was forced to retire. Walker elected to stay with the group, exchanging commands with Wild Goose, and, after the group returned to port with Kite, 2SG was joined at this point by Celsius Gwinner as a replacement for the damaged Starling. On 30 July 1943, Walker's group saw further success when they encountered a group of 3 U-boats on the surface. 2 were vital submarine-type XIV replenishment boats known as milk cows while in the Bay of Biscay. He signaled the general chase to his group and fired at them, causing damage that prevented them from diving. 2 of the submarines, a Type XIV and a Type XIC, were then sunk by Walker's group, and the second Type XIV by Australian Short Sunderland aircraft. But whilst the remainder of the operation saw the destruction of 20 U-boats over a 9-week period, 2's time was unproductive, and no further successes were recorded. In this part of the video, we'll be delving deeper into Atlantic operations and analysing its key components. In September 1943, after a further refit, 2SG went to the North Atlantic in the company of the escort carrier. The group was joined by S. Abrams, while Woodpecker was in for repairs. In October, in concert with B-7 Escort Group, the group worked in support of ON 207. No successes were recorded, although the convoy battle saw 3 U-boats destroyed, with no ships lost. However, in November 1943, in operations around HX 264, 2SG accounted for 2 more U-boats, and, whilst the United States Navy had had much success using carrier groups in a hunter-killer role on the mid-Atlantic route, the Royal Navy's experience was less positive. Winter gales made flying difficult and hazardous, while the need to provide protection to the carrier hampered as operations. 2SG at least generally had more success operating without carrier assistance. On to December, SG was acting in support of SL 31 with 4SG E.H. Chavez. 2SG put in a determined attack on a U-boat, thought to be, but was unsuccessful, though the battle for SL 31 saw the destruction of a U-boat without loss of ships. Now, let's shift our perspective and explore 6 in one trip from a different angle. In January 1944, 2SG sailed on its most famous exploit, accounting for 6 U-boats in one patrol, 3 of them in one 15-hour period. On 31 January 1944, Walker's group gained their first kill of the year when they sank. On 9 February, his group sank, and in one action, then sank on 11 February. And on 19 February. This patrol was ended on 20 February 1944, when one of Walker's group was torpedoed possibly by. After an 8-day struggle to get her home, Woodpecker sank in a gale off the Skillies. All of her crew were saved. Woodpecker was the only ship of 2SG lost in action. The group returned to its base at Liverpool to the thrilled jubilation of the city's inhabitants and the Admiralty. The First Lord of the Admiralty was present to greet Walker and his ships. Walker's seniority as captain was backdated from 30 June 42 to 30 June 40 and awarded a second bar to his DSO. Let's now turn our attention to Arctic Convoy and examine its role within the larger context. In March 1944, the group returned to North Atlantic, destroying on weather patrol before joining Arctic Convoy JW-58. It was joined in this for a short period by 2SG met and destroyed in transit across the Roslyn, but had no other success, though 3 U-boats were destroyed in attacks on JW-58. The return convoy, RA-58, was also attacked, but neither side saw any success. In May 1944, 2SG responded to an attack on By. Though starting from 300 miles away, Walker, in an inspired piece of work, divined where to search, and after a 3-day search gained contact. An 18-hour hunt brought U-473 to the surface, where she was sunk by gunfire. In June 1944, 2SG was joined by, and replacements for Kite and Magpie. That month the group was on a search and destroy operations in the southwestern approaches, as part of Operation Neptune, the invasion of Normandy, and was instrumental in preventing any attacks on the invasion fleet. In all, 15 U-boats were destroyed in attempts to attack the invasion fleet. 8 ships were sunk. On 2 July, SG received its heaviest blow when Captain Walker died suddenly of a cerebral hemorrhage. Our focus now turns to later operations and important aspects of our discussion. In July 1944, 2SG was back in action, led initially by Dominicactre, N.A. Duck, and later by Wild Goosectre, D.E.G. Wemyss. The group had one successful patrol during August, operating in the Bay of Biscay, 4 U-boats, and were accounted for while attempting to cross the bay to and from their bases. The months following this were unfruitful, however, as the U-boat arm changed its tactics to operate in the shallow inland waters around Britain, using the schnorkel to remain submerged for entire patrols. This created a different set of tactical problems, requiring different tactics of the escorts. As we venture forward, let's take a closer look at last successes and its impact on our understanding. In 1945, Loch Fodder and Loch Killen were transferred to be replaced by and. As 2SG grappled with the changed nature of the campaign, the group saw its last successes. In February 1945, the group destroyed 2 more U-boats, and some sources say this was. 2SG was also credited with bringing its score to 23. Wemyss reports the attack in March 1945, but after a report of another sinking in the same area 6 months earlier, concluded they were flogging a dead horse. However, a post-war report of U-683 missing in the area led to 2SG being credited with her destruction. More recent analysis has questioned this, and assessment was changed in 1989. It is now thought that 2's attack was on the wreck of sunk in September 1944. Despite this, second support group was responsible for the confirmed destruction of 22 U-boats during World War II, making it the most successful anti-submarine unit of the entire conflict. I appreciate your time, and I'm grateful for every like, comment, and share.